All right, welcome back. We continue with the Penguins, who are down 3-0. You're wondering, obviously the odds are stacked against them, and the Penguins in their history have never overcome a 3-0 deficit, although as the Islanders in 75, I went back today just to find out, and many things were being said the same way. They're done. There's no way they're coming back against the Penguins, and they won 4 in a row when Eddie Westfall wins the last game 1-0. So you never know until you play the game. However, let's talk about goaltending, because even though I think Matt Murray has played well, Tim Benz, he has to be extraordinary moving forward. In other words, he's got to make saves, and there were some that I would question today. What's your take on his play versus Robin Lehner?
Yeah, the first 2 games, I really didn't have much bad to say about Murray. I don't have a ton bad to say about him today. That Eberle goal, the first one that went by his ear, Sid scored that exact same goal against one of the Islander goaltenders earlier this season, and we all praised him like crazy for it, like only he could make that shot, and now we're killing Murray for leaving it open. That's just kind of how it works and how our perspective is. I actually didn't like the third goal. That was the one that bothered me more than anything. Much like the Holtby series last year against Washington for Murray, I feel like he's been the second best goalie in each game, which kind of goes without saying based on the final score, but rarely in this series have I said, boy, they lost despite how great Matt Murray was. I think he's been good, but just never better than Lehner, and therein lies the trouble.
Yeah, he certainly has not outplayed the other guy. There's no question about that. Robin Lehner's been terrific. This guy is, I think, a real talent who had some personal issues and who was playing on a bad team for years beforehand. I think we're seeing how good he is now. But Matt Murray's been fine. The degree of difficulty that he's been given with the 2-on-1s, the 3-on-2s, the odd man rushes, the horrible defensive work, it's very difficult to gauge Matt Murray's play when the Penguins are playing like they are. We saw it in the first couple of months of the season. I know he wasn't playing well then, but my gosh, it's a 2-on-1 fest all night, and that's what we saw, I think, to some extent at least, in Game 3 today, and really this entire series. So while he hasn't been great, and he will absolutely have to steal a couple of games if the Penguins have any chance to win this series, which I don't really think they do, but I don't look at him as the problem at all.
No, Josh, I agree with you. I mean, Jack Johnson's the problem.
Obviously.
Come on. I mean, Matt Murray's been absolutely fine. We can't sit here and blame it all on him. But I also don't see how we can blame goaltending for when a team scores 2 goals and you have the type of offensive talent the Penguins done, and you score 2 goals. That's not enough. Eric Branson and Garrett Wilson are the only ones putting pucks past Robin Lehner. I mean, Robin Lehner's been great, but how difficult have the Penguins made life for him? Are they getting enough? Are they getting enough from, more than one line at one time? And they just haven't done that.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Murray's been serviceable, but it hasn't mattered.
Like when they got swept by Boston, that wasn't Thomas Vokoun's fault.
That was Jack Johnson's fault.
That also was Jack Johnson's fault.
I thought it was Ben Roethlisberger's fault. I don't know.
Everything's Ben Roethlisberger's fault. All right, I'm going to ask you a 2-part question. Make your answers quick if you don't mind. Start with you at the top there, Jason, and that would be, all right, they're down here in this situation. If they should lose this series, whether it's game 4, 5, 6, or 7, whatever the case, number one, what happens in the offseason? And number two, is it possible that this wonderful run we have witnessed is coming to an end?
Well, the first part, I think they will legitimately try to shop Phil Kessel and see what they can get. I think Jim Rutherford will lower his bar on a return. I think Patrick Hornquist as well could be an option that they might want to look at. And I think you just take a long, hard look at everybody in there. But I don't think the run is over. I think you try to use this year as kind of a transition year and restock your cupboard.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Mike Sullivan's not getting fired, first of all. And I'm of the opinion that Jim Rutherford would never fire Mike Sullivan. It would have to come from above, or Jim would have to retire or be fired first before Mike Sullivan would go. I think he thinks that highly of him. Jim is safe, Mike is safe, as they should be, given their body of work. I think that's pretty clear. Is there a significant trade coming this summer? Could there be multiple trades? Sure, there could. The Penguins just look stale. And you know that feeling when you see it. We saw it with the Penguins in the mid-'90s a little bit after they had their run in the early '90s. You can see it now. These guys have played a lot of games. Their best players are all in their 30s now. That's an issue. So you will see some significant change, but you won't see change at the top.
I think that much like Tom Brady in New England, Sidney Crosby in Pittsburgh, the era isn't over until 87 is gone, like it's not over in New England until TB12 is gone. So I think they will try to retool and rebuild around Sid. How much? I think 72 and 81 might be on the way out or try to be moved on the way out, unfortunately, especially in the case of Hornquist. And that's going to be a hard contract to move, by the way. I think the biggest thing is, do they do a complete gut and rebuild job, or at least does Maul can stay. I think he probably does. Murray does too. Letang probably does, but a lot of the other components might move around Sidney Crosby.
All right, now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to go round the horn for this week's Smooth Moves, brought to you by Pittsburgh's largest supplier of the smoothest granite, marble, and quartz countertops going, and that would be Armina Stone. Smooth move, guys. Jason, start with you.
All right, well, we're taping this before we actually see the result, but I can't not go with the Columbus Blue Jackets. Any direction you want to go there. Their GM for believing in this team, the players, what they've done. Watching the run they're giving Tampa right now has been fun.
My smooth move has to go to the good people of Augusta, Georgia, who decided to move up the Masters so that it got completed much earlier in the day. Not only did it give us one of the most memorable golf tournaments of all time, but it probably prevented most of the country from watching what was happening in Pittsburgh at about 1 in the afternoon. So that's a good thing for Penguins fans who want to save a little bit of face.
Believe it or not, my smooth move goes to Antonio Brown. And the reason I say that is he has done the impossible. Antonio Brown has become such a jackwagon. He has actually made me like and appreciate Ryan Clark, which is something I never thought could possibly happen. But Ryan Clark has been as biting and critical as anyone in the national media of Antonio Brown during the course of these past few months, and I respect Ryan Clark for doing that.
Good for you to come out with that, Tim. It took that much, but yes. And those are the Smooth Moves of the week, brought to you by Armina Stone. Hey, they feature Pittsburgh's largest indoor stone gallery of granite and marble countertops imported from all over the world to give you the smoothest countertops in the area. Score a touchdown right now. Granite countertops from Armina Stone. Tiger Woods up next.